Vikings fans, this sucks. Like, just fan to fan for a second. We'll get to the analysis later. This is a bad beat. Welcome back to another beautiful bonus episode of the Kev BK Beloved Show. We will be updating the NFC North preview we did on Wednesday today. A lot of things happened since we last talked about the NFC North. Most notably, JJ McCarthy. Unfortunately, the Vikings rookie quarterback will be out with a torn meniscus. He is getting a full repair on that torn meniscus. He'll be out for the rest of the season. And before I analyze a goddamn thing, Vikings fans, this sucks. Like, just fan to fan for a second. We'll get to the analysis later. This is a bad beat. Any injury is terrible, but there's a different level of pain that comes from losing a rookie quarterback, which objectively was the main thing y'all had to look forward to this season. To the point where the aforementioned NFC North preview we did, pretty much 90% of that segment was about JJ McCarthy because that was the main headline. That's just a bad beat, man. It's a bad beat. So my condolences. He'll be back next year. Trust me, from a physical therapy standpoint, because I worked in the physical therapy field for 7 years, almost got my doctorate in it. Story for another day. In the long run, you'll be very happy that he got the full repair instead of just trying to patch that little piece. Think of it like this. I'm trying to put in like the simplest terms possible and not get too granular with this. If you have a giant gash on any part of your body that makes you the less squeamish, there's a difference between covering it with gauze and cleaning it up and just taping over it so hopefully it'll scar and heal, as opposed to stitching it up so that it can heal up that way. Think of it like that. But unfortunately, you do have a rest of a season that you need to go through, so we do gotta talk about that. If it's hard for you to hear, go ahead, fast forward to whatever timestamp when we get to the Packers and the Lions. I completely understand, but I'm here for positivity though. I want to focus on how can this season be saved if you're the Minnesota Vikings. Were my hopes the highest for this team regardless of whether JJ was healthy or not? Not really, because outside of extreme circumstances, I'm not putting that much stock into how much your rookie quarterback is able to propel your team anyways. But when you look at the Vikings, I misspoke last week when I said that they played 6 different quarterbacks last year. 6 different players attempted a pass last year. They played 4 different quarterbacks. Kirk Cousins, obviously, Nick Mullins, Jared Hall, and the pastronaut Josh Dobbs. Of those 4 quarterbacks, Josh Dobbs and Kirk Cousins are on other teams. Nick Mullins and Jared Hall are still on the roster. As low as I was last podcast on Sam Darnold, and kind of still am, we're not really asking how good he is in a vacuum. We're asking, is he better than the 3 quarterbacks not named Kirk Cousins last year that led this team to a 7-10 record? And as I look at these other quarterbacks, the answer is unequivocally yes. And fingers crossed you'll have Justin Jefferson for all 17 games. Jordan Addison also was hurt. The only update I have is I'm sitting here right now. It's from an ESPN.com article, which covered Kevin O'Connell's press conference after the practice, where all they said was he's expected to miss sometime after a left ankle injury on Wednesday. What does sometime mean? Who knows? Coaches talking riddles when it comes to injuries, because God forbid you give a straight up answer. That one I'm not going to speculate on, but I do expect we will see Jordan Addison again. He did a really good job filling in for Justin Jefferson's shoes last year, ended up getting 10 touchdowns on his own as a rookie, and I only expect him to get better. Outside of the fact that I really wish they would have upgraded the running game regardless of whether JJ was playing or not, I feel decent about this offense still. And then we get to the defense and my favorite psycho, Brian Flores. For y'all that missed why I called him a psycho last podcast, he led the NFL in 3-man rushes, blitz rate, and 6-man rushes. He's either all in or all out. I'm either sending 6+ or we're dropping 8 in coverage. Take your guess which one's which, and more than likely they're going to have the same look every single time. Have fun guessing. That's Brian Flores' defense in a nutshell. Yet and still, with all those pressure stats and all those blitz stats, middle of the pack as far as pressure, only about a 21% pressure rate. The bottom of the league is like 16, the top of it's like 28. They're like somewhere in that 16 to 17, 18 range, because God forbid Pro Football Reference gives you the actual number of the ranking next to the pressure rate. Thanks a lot for that, guys. Dead last in tackles for loss, because I think The scheme was not the issue. The issue was the personnel. Outside of Danielle Hunter, I think most people watching this will struggle to come up with the name of anybody in that front seven from the Vikings last year. A single name. They did go out this offseason and improve on that front because they were going to try and give him some aid anyways. And since they're not paying Kirk Cousins a gajillion dollars, you might as well bring in some help on the defense. So they brought in Jonathan Greenard from the Texans last year, who was pretty good in his own right. I know Will Anderson got all the attention, but Jonathan Greenard was objectively a better player. Andrew Van Ginkel, who's familiar with Brian Flores from their time together in Miami, so the learning curve for him will not be as steep. Also bringing Jahan Ward on a cheap deal. Dallas Turner, the rookie, I think he's going to be able to adjust very quickly. They're not going to ask him really to throw a bunch of moves on these tackles and guards and try to win that way. It's going to be more so, hey, we're sending 8. You beat your guy pretty quickly, which you're pretty accustomed to doing. So on that front, I think they'll be fine. The defense I expect to be better. And if Sam Darnold can just not see ghost, the bar for him is in hell. But he is better than the quarterbacks y'all had last year. So there is hope for this season still. All hope is not lost, even in the wake of JJ McCarthy, unfortunately, not being in the starting lineup. So in the vein of my traditional previews, the headline of the Minnesota Vikings season will be hope is on the horizon. And then the subtext will be Vikings look to continue momentum with the addition of JJ McCarthy.